I thought tonight would be normal. I thought I'd leave my bedroom, maybe grab some snacks, check my phone, maybe even scroll through social media without an audience. I was wrong. Dead wrong. My alien roommate, who had the emotional range of a clingy ex and the spatial awareness of a predator, stood in front of my door like some kind of intergalactic bouncer, arms, or whatever appendages those were, folded, glaring at me. "You are staying here," it said, tone ominous, like it had just discovered a species capable of emotional betrayal. I blinked, trying to register whether this was a joke. Nope. No joke. Apparently, the human concept of privacy was alien, or literally alien. It all started when I casually left my phone on the nightstand, and of course, curiosity killed the cat, or in this case, triggered a full-blown alien freakout. My roommate had seen pictures of my friends, some exes, and maybe a few regrettable gym selfies, and suddenly I was emotionally imprisoned. "Who is this human posing in minimal clothing?" the alien hissed, eyes glowing faintly like tiny possessive spotlights. "Threat level high." I couldn't help but laugh. "Relax," I said. "It's a shirtless selfie, not a declaration of war." It didn't care. It never does. The alien's logic is impeccable in its own way, terrifyingly so. It insisted that keeping me in the room was for my emotional safety, which, judging by the glint in its eyes, also doubled as its personal amusement. I tried to reason. "I'm fine. Really. I promise I won't run off with anyone. I'm committed, mostly, to snacks." That earned me a tilt of the head and a soft purr that sounded suspiciously like a growl. I realized then that adult reasoning doesn't work on beings who think jealousy is a valid motivational tactic. Of course, there was physical comedy in the mix, too. The alien's limbs, or tentacles, or whatever they were, blocked every possible exit path, forming a perfect human-sized cage. I tried the classic human tactic, sarcasm and flirtation. "Oh, so we're doing clingy tonight? Cute. Should I start calling you possessive, darling?" The alien paused, a tiny flicker of comprehension crossing its face, but instead of retreating, it leaned closer, sniffed the air around me, and whispered, "Human pheromones, dangerously amusing." I coughed, half laughing, half panicking. Then came the most awkward part. The alien decided to investigate my phone properly. It wasn't enough that it had glimpsed the social media evidence. No, now it had to interrogate me about each friend, each photo, each minor interaction. I was squirming under what felt like a cross between a CIA investigation and a date gone terrifyingly wrong. "Why did you like this human's post?" it asked, and I stammered. "Because it was a cat video?" Not convincing. Apparently, liking cat videos counts as betrayal in the Intergalactic Possessiveness Handbook. The room itself had transformed into a mix of cozy and absurd. Pizza boxes piled into precarious towers, alien gadgets glowing faintly like mood lighting gone wrong, and the faint smell of something that was definitely not human cooking mingled with my laundry. The alien was calm, deadly serious, and strangely intimate in its observation of me. Every movement I made was catalogued, commented on, and sometimes flirted with. "You fidget when anxious," it noted. "Human stress signals, arousing in a peculiar way." My blush was probably visible from space. By now, it was clear, I was not leaving this bedroom tonight. Not unless I wanted to provoke a full-scale emotional meltdown or possibly some interspecies scandal. I had two choices: attempt a comedic escape that would likely fail spectacularly, or accept that for the next few hours, my life belonged to this alien who had decided my social media interactions constituted a direct threat to its possessive honor. And judging by the way it was leaning casually against the doorframe, tail, or whatever that was, curled lazily around a chair, I was going to be tested, teased, and possibly embarrassed in ways that only an alien roommate could engineer. I sighed. "Fine," I said, throwing myself dramatically onto the bed. "You win, for now." The alien's response was a soft hum, almost a purr, vibrating through the mattress like a warning or a promise. And as I stared at the ceiling, half exhausted and half mortified, I realized that tonight was going to be long, weird, and utterly adult, in every sense of the word. I tried to be clever. Really, I did. I whispered subtle hints about needing to check the kitchen, casually stretched toward the door like a human contortionist, even attempted the old fake sneeze distraction. None of it worked. My alien roommate, apparently equipped with a combination of psychic awareness and a sixth sense for human deceit, countered each move with unnerving precision. "Human evasions detected," it murmured, eyes narrowing as if I had just insulted its entire species. I wondered if there was an intergalactic handbook on reading human body language because it was working too well. The next few hours became a bizarre mixture of interrogation, bonding, and adult humiliation. The alien had decided that the only way to ensure my emotional safety, and perhaps satisfy its personal amusement, was a series of trust and exposure exercises. I was forced into answering intimate questions, my most embarrassing fantasies, my most awkward romantic encounters, even the number of times I'd cried over a terrible breakup. And somehow, in the alien's warped logic, this counted as both scientific observation and flirtatious bonding. It got worse, or better, depending on how you measure terror versus titillation. The alien insisted on physical demonstrations to prove my sincerity. Its tentacle, or arm, or some kind of appendage I couldn't properly identify, brushed lightly against my hand as it explained the human concept of emotional vulnerability. "Touch stimulates honesty," it said, tone grave yet almost gleeful, and I realized that I had entered a human-alien experiment that was equal parts romance seminar and adult comedy nightmare. The conversation veered into absurdity when my phone betrayed me again. Notifications popped up, messages from friends, ex-lovers, and that one coworker who liked to flirt during office hours. The alien's reaction was immediate, possessive, and hysterically dark. "Why is this human messaging another human at midnight?" it demanded. "Threat detected. Emotional contamination." I tried to explain. "It's just texting, friendly stuff, nothing scandalous." The alien sniffed, muttering under its breath something about the immorality of human emotions, and tightened its grip on the blanket as though it were a leash. I laughed nervously, which only seemed to encourage it. "Your laughter indicates complicity," it said. "Do you find me threatening? Or intriguing?" I paused, realizing that adult humor had become a dangerous game here. Every joke, every sarcastic comment was interpreted as both an insult and an intimate signal. "Both," I admitted. The alien hummed, vibrating in what I assumed was pleasure, or judgment, and leaned closer, nose hovering alarmingly near mine. At some point, the alien decided that it wasn't enough to interrogate me verbally. It introduced what it called the bonding hammock, a series of suspended pillows and straps designed to keep me literally within its reach while it tested my honesty, my reflexes, and apparently, my tolerance for awkward intimacy. "This will reveal true human trust," it explained, eyes glowing softly. The hammock rocked dangerously as it applied pressure in ways that were equal parts therapeutic and frankly erotic. I squirmed, trying to maintain dignity while my blush threatened to outpace the sun in intensity. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time had lost meaning in this adult nightmare. The alien's questions grew more absurdly personal. "Do human hearts beat faster when afraid? Or when attracted?" Each inquiry was followed by physical demonstrations that left me flustered, half laughing, and vaguely aroused. I couldn't tell if I was being tested for emotional stability or for some interspecies dating protocol, but either way, I was losing. Fast. By the time the alien finally paused, sitting cross-legged on the floor like some twisted romantic sage, I realized that escape was impossible. My phone lay useless, my pride was bruised, and my body ached from the bizarre exercises that were somehow both adult comedy and lightly erotic torture. "You are proving interesting," it said, voice softening. I shivered, unsure whether this was a compliment, a threat, or the alien equivalent of foreplay. And just when I thought I could catch my breath, it leaned close and whispered, "The night is far from over. Emotional safety requires more interaction." I groaned, realizing that the all-night imprisonment was just beginning, and the alien's hilarious, possessive, and intimately dark games were far from finished. I decided if I was going to survive the night, I had to get creative. The alien was everywhere, telepathic, tentacled, and disturbingly attentive to every flinch, blush, or sarcastic quip. I tried diversion tactics, using my best human wit and flirtation as weapons. "Hey, maybe we should play a game," I suggested, smirking. "Something competitive, maybe whoever wins gets a little freedom?" The alien tilted its head like it hadn't heard such audacity since the last interstellar war. "Interesting, human arrogance detected. Proceed." The game was a nightmare disguised as adult comedy. The alien decided it involved a mix of truth or dare, improvisational touches, and ridiculous intimate quizzes about human behavior. Every question was a trap. Every answer had double meanings. "Do humans always blush when embarrassed?" it asked, voice silky and ominous. "Sometimes," I muttered, and instantly regretted it. The alien leaned closer, fingers brushing my arm in a way that made my heart race and my brain short-circuit simultaneously. I tried to outsmart it. I feigned sleep, whispering fake snores and closing my eyes. Predictably, the alien wasn't fooled. It tilted my face toward its glowing eyes, sniffing me like some possessive extraterrestrial bloodhound. "Sleeping human shows signs of deception," it noted, tracing a finger along my jawline. I swallowed hard, realizing the night had officially turned into a delightful torture chamber of sexual tension and absurd comedy. Then came the interrogation of my social media habits. The alien, still scandalized by old photos, demanded explanations for every like and comment. "Why did you like this human's post?" it asked, voice dangerously soft. "It was a cat video," I said, holding my breath. The alien made a low hum, the sound vibrating through the mattress like some sinister lullaby. "Cat video insufficient for emotional evaluation, but you are interestingly reactive." The blush creeping up my neck betrayed me, and I could only laugh nervously, knowing it had won this round. Physical comedy escalated when it introduced what it called the bonding protocol, awkward, intimate exercises designed to measure human compliance. It involved hovering, touch, and a hammock that I swear was designed to maximize my flustered reactions. Every movement I made was commented on, dissected, and teased in ways that were both hilarious and erotic. "Your breathing pattern is fascinating, arousing in a peculiar way," it observed. I rolled my eyes, stifling laughter that threatened to dissolve into panic. I tried another tactic, charm. "Maybe if I compliment you, you'll let me go," I suggested, my voice dripping with sarcasm and mock romance. The alien blinked, considering this seriously, then whispered, "Compliment received, but insufficient. You must continue proving your worth." Apparently, in alien logic, flattery counted as both romantic tension and a test of obedience. I sighed, realizing that subtlety was worthless, and now adult humor, flirtation, and absurd discomfort were my only survival tools. Hours, or whatever time meant here, passed in a haze of awkward intimacy, double entendres, and possessive scrutiny. The alien occasionally paused to comment on my emotional reactions, my bodily cues, or my human peculiarities, each time blending scientific observation with flirtatious teasing. I shivered, laughed, groaned, and occasionally cursed all at once. I wasn't just trapped physically, I was ensnared in a night-long comedy of adult humiliation, bizarre romance, and alien obsession. And just when I thought I might engineer a daring escape, I spotted the window, a tiny glimmer of hope. Heart pounding, I reached for it, calculating the physics of a human-alien tug-of-war. Just as my fingers grazed the frame, a cold, glowing hand wrapped around my wrist. "Not yet, the night is far from over," it whispered, tone both threatening and absurdly intimate. I froze, realizing that my clever human tricks were no match for alien possessiveness mixed with bizarre romantic logic. So there I was, trapped, flustered, and hilariously compromised, knowing full well that Section 4 would push the absurdity, sexual tension, and adult comedy even further. The night was still young, or whatever young meant in the alien sense, and somehow, I was going to survive, laugh, blush, and maybe, just maybe, flirt my way through the rest of this ridiculous all-night imprisonment. Morning, or what counted as morning in alien perception, was breaking, and somehow, I had survived. My hair was a mess, my clothes were wrinkled, and my dignity was scattered across the bedroom floor like confetti. My alien roommate, however, looked as serene as a deity who had just won some cosmic bet. Its eyes, still faintly glowing, followed my every move with a mix of pride and mischief. "You are enduring," it said, voice soft yet laden with possessive satisfaction. I swallowed hard, unsure whether I should be offended or flattered. Maybe both. I tried to negotiate my freedom, reasoning like a human trapped in a bizarre adult comedy experiment. "Okay, truce," I said, leaning back against the pillows. "I promise no more suspicious social media activity tonight. Can I maybe leave the bedroom now?" The alien hummed, a sound that made my stomach twist with both dread and unexpected amusement. "Freedom requires demonstration of human emotional honesty," it replied, brushing its hand lightly across my arm. I groaned, realizing adult negotiation with an alien possessed by jealousy was a losing game. It then suggested what it called the final bonding ritual, which, in practice, was a combination of awkward cuddling, whispered teasing, and absurdly intimate commentary on every human reaction it could observe. "Your pulse is elevated, interestingly arousing," it noted, leaning closer than necessary. I rolled my eyes but couldn't stop a blush creeping across my cheeks. Every touch, every whispered observation, felt like it had been crafted to be equal parts erotic, humiliating, and hilariously absurd. The alien, of course, couldn't resist another peek at my phone. Notifications had piled up, and the alien's reaction was predictably over the top. "Another human sent affectionate messages?" it asked, voice low and dangerous. "This is unacceptable." I tried to explain, flailing my arms in mock frustration. "It's literally just a meme about cats. Nothing romantic, I swear." The alien tilted its head, giving me that unreadable gaze that made me feel simultaneously exposed and ridiculously flustered. I realized then that adult humor, sarcasm, and flirtation were my only survival tactics now. Then came the comedy of intimacy. The alien decided that morning rituals required evaluation of human comfort in proximity. This translated to more teasing touches, awkwardly placed hands, and whispered commentary about my body and reactions. "Humans blush in fascinating patterns, sometimes amusing, sometimes arousing," it mused. I laughed nervously, part out of embarrassment, and part because it was absurdly accurate in its observations. The room had become a theater of adult comedy, bizarre romance, and possessive alien fascination, and I was the unwilling star. Eventually, a sort of truce was reached. I lay sprawled on the bed, exhausted, flustered, and vaguely aroused, while the alien perched beside me like some twisted guardian angel. "You have survived the night, human," it said. "You are interestingly compliant and amusing." I smirked, deciding that compromise was the safest route. "So, can I get a coffee and maybe some dignity now?" I teased. The alien hummed, and I suspected that its definition of dignity didn't match mine. By the time the first hints of real sunlight spilled into the room, we had reached a fragile understanding. The alien would allow me limited freedom, conditional on continued compliance and the occasional bonding check. I groaned inwardly, but there was something undeniably amusing about this arrangement. Somehow, adult humiliation, sexual tension, and absurd comedy had transformed into a bizarrely flirtatious relationship. I realized that surviving the night meant more than endurance. It meant laughing, blushing, and somehow connecting with this possessive, socially jealous extraterrestrial. As I finally settled into the idea that my bedroom prison had become a twisted playground of adult humor and intimacy, the alien leaned close and whispered one last comment, almost teasingly. "Next night, further exploration of emotional and physical safety." I froze, part horrified, part intrigued, and let out a laugh that mixed panic with amusement. Somehow, this ridiculous, possessive, interspecies roommate of mine had made the impossible night unforgettable. And as the sun rose, I knew one thing for certain: surviving an alien's jealousy had never been so hilariously adult.